Welcome, Elaine, to this episode of Collective Conversations, where we talk about all kinds of things to do with parenting, to do with well-being, to do with business and all the things, but having these conversations that don't always get had. That's what we're doing in Collective Conversations, and spreading resources and information, and dispelling myths, which I know is something we're going to be doing in today's conversation. So welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Really great to have you here. So for those who don't know me, I'm Sarah Parks. I'm the host of Collective Conversations and the Legacy Life podcast. And you can see lots of other episodes on all kinds of things. I am a coach, a parenting and well-being life coach, and I've been supporting families for 16 years now. So that's a little bit about me, and let's find out a bit about you, Elaine, who you are and how you help people.
Okay, so I'm Elaine Hughes. I'm the owner of In the Loop, which is a benefits agency company where we help people support and navigate through the maze that is the welfare state. So we have advice on PIP, DLA, housing, debt advice, carers allowance. We just give a range of benefits and grants that are available. And that's basically rooted in my years as DWP, a decision maker for access to work, PIP, DLA, and ESA and so forth.
Okay. So yeah, when we connected, you mentioned that you obviously worked with the Department of Work and Pensions for a long time, didn't you, before you set up your own kind of private consultancy, really,
Yeah, correct.
essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, it's great to have you and be able to have a chat about the kind of support that you offer, maybe dispel some myths as well around support, when people are accessing support or looking to, or maybe don't even know,
Okay. Yeah.
don't even know that they're entitled to support, because there can be a lot of stigma, can't there?
Yeah, there's a lot of stigma. There's lots of benefits that are unclaimed.
Uh-huh.
We could just get overwhelmed, especially if you're living with a neurodivergency, disability. It's quite overwhelming.
Mm.
Um, yeah, there's something I think it's off my head like 20 billion is like in claimed, 20 million. It's like it's a massive, ridiculous amount of money of benefits that's unclaimed every year. People either start or give up.
And that's so interesting, isn't it? Because there's this 20 million or billion or whatever it is, a lot of, like you say, a lot of unclaimed benefits that people are entitled to, and yet what you hear reported and the narrative that I see
Yeah,
in newspapers and things like that seems to focus on, you know, you would be led to believe there are lots of people who are claiming benefits that aren't entitled to them. So that's what it looks like to me over the
yeah,
years.
yeah. There's a lot of stigma around it, around disability in general, and in the
Hmm.
welfare state. But we don't talk about stuff around like pensions, for example. I know everyone hates that word, but pensions is the biggest, is a state benefit. People think it's not, but it's actually the biggest draw of benefits.
Yeah.
Uh, Benefits such as universal credit is mostly paid to people who are subjected to low wages or used as top up for people who are part-time workers and so forth like that. So
Yeah.
there's a very negative view of benefits in the UK system.
Why
And
do you think that is?
I think it's because there's two things. One, I think disabled people have been given the label of no value.
Hmm.
Those who are having to, manufacture and claim benefits or have that stigma around them. And I think the other one is that it's just so, and no, people don't understand. People don't understand how benefit system works.
Mm.
They
Well, I love that you've said that, because I'm just thinking, well, how would you describe, for somebody who doesn't understand how the benefit system works, if in really easy to understand, not complicated terms? Because let's face it, a lot of things, I don't know if they're designed by lawyers and solicitors because when you have any kind of documents, legal documents and things, they seem to be written in gibberish and not everyday language that most people can
It's,
understand. So,
it is. It's very, very complex. So there's so many tiers and so many different levels.
uh-huh.
Um, let's say so. Universal credit replaced ESA, equal support, IC, incapacity benefit, and a few others. But there's so many different levels. You've got self-employed universal credit,
Yeah.
part-time workers universal credit. You got pro rata universal credit. You got people who are contribution based, who are medically pensioned off. So there's so different variations. So that's why it's so disjointed. So it's
Yeah.
not a simple case of being able to go in. So most people who are working, let's say, use universal credit as a top up for develop their
Mm.
housing allowances and stuff like that. There's not it can't be simplified because it's not simple. It's not a simplified system. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Um, but the best way that I can do is help people navigate their way through it,
Yeah.
um, and use it as a and it's knowing what unlocks what benefits.
Yes.
So you have to think of it as a series of doors. So one benefit unlocks another benefit, and it's that.
Yeah.
And I think with the new and all governments that come in, they want to tweak it, they want to change it, they want to do and they mess around with it. Whereas personally, I think the old systems that used to work before work really, really well.
Right. So,
um,
what is that before it was universal credit
yeah,
then?
so it was like ESA, equal support, incapacity benefit. They were very standalone benefits. Um,
Uh-huh.
and there's a lot, and obviously job seekers allowance and stuff like that. It's very, very simple benefits. But then they merged them into one package now with universal credit.
Yeah.
It's very different, and like I say, it's very layered and very tiered.
Hmm.
And that's where the over complexity becomes, and that's where people struggle because
Yeah, because it sounds like it's gone from having separate specific
yeah,
things that you can, I imagine, used to be able to navigate from
yeah, that's
one thing
it.
to another, whereas now it's all put under one umbrella.
That's
It,
it.
looking like it's simplifying it when it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
making it more
exactly.
complicated.
Yeah, it's like in the universal credit now, you've got limited work capability, limited, and it's like that's basically you've got incapacity benefit, which means that you can't work at all. You should be on benefits for the rest of your life. To
Yeah.
those who can work into it, which is like a job JSA, but you have to have appointments and interviews and medical and it gets overshadowed. People, so I understand why people get so confused about the system.
Yes.
And then if you layer that on top with transitional payments, so for people who are on legacy benefits like ESA, incapacity benefit, or contribution based, they're transitioning to universal credit, but they're losing their transition. So it's very, very complex.
Mm.
I'd love to say that I could just sit down and break it all down into chunks, but
Yes.
it's just obviously time is against us. But yeah, it's knowing how to navigate through the water and what you should be entitled to, what you should be getting, and the rates and stuff like that. And there's also it changes so much as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so it sounds like, it's very much on a case by case basis, and this working out what an individual person or the land with the landscape of their
Yeah,
family and whatnot is, you
yeah,
know.
and also you've got different, obviously rent rates, like local housing authority rates,
Hmm.
whether you're entitled to PIP or not. And I know from speaking to my old colleagues at the job centre, talking about merging PIP into universal credit, and I'm like, okay, how's that going to work? And the bringing in vouchers and stuff like that, and I'm like, okay, so they're making it more and more complicated.
Yeah. So PIP, for those who don't know, what does that stand for?
PIP is personal independence payments, and then
Okay.
you've got DLA, which is disability living allowance. So PIP is from 16 to usually, I think if I remember correctly, I think it's 75. And then
Right.
after that, if you apply after 75, you go straight onto attendance allowance, which,
Right.
which doesn't have the mobility part of PIP.
Right.
It's
Okay.
included for care. And then DLA is usually from 3 to 16.
Mhm.
However,
Mhm.
there are exceptions. If you have a child who is seriously classed as disabled, you can claim before they are the age of 3.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, because obviously the level of care
Yeah,
that somebody is having to do is
yeah,
over and above what
normal child,
a
yeah.
regular parent would be doing, right? Um, with those increased needs. Um, so, what would you say some of the myths are that you think are really important to dispel?
The myths for me are that I think one thing would be often about refugees and migrants that they automatically get benefits and stuff like that. It's not
Hmm.
correct. The other one would be me about housing. Housing is a big one.
Hmm.
So statistically, around 88% of social housing goes to white British citizens. Only a small percent actually goes to others of ethnic minorities. The
Right.
big myth that social housing goes to refugees or people just jump ladders to get into housing is absolutely 1000% no, correct. It's not thinking.
Yeah.
Um, there's the things around like carers allowance and working and stuff like that. How many hours you can work? I'm saying it's you defined on what you can earn, and just it's just be having and also there is money out there. That's another thing about there are grants and organisations like lots of councils have support funds that are available for people to get money from. So if you need, for example, help with buying children's school clothes. Your
Aha.
local community has a pot of fund that you can tap into, like
Hmm.
this office this. There also is charities around that you can use for washing machines or large goods if you're short if you don't have the money for it. Again, a lot of this stuff is unknown, and so when people have all these conversations, oh, there's no help. There is actually there is a lot of help out there. Just people just don't know where to look.
Yes, yes. And obviously, when you're talking about um, these grants that might be available for large goods or helping people with their children's school uniforms and things like that, that will be vary from area to area, won't it?
Yeah,
You
very,
know.
very good. Yeah, they usually have the household fund was around for ages. It's still around in some areas, and sometimes they just rebrand it with a different name.
Okay, there's so the households fund. So
Yeah,
what did that cover?
that covers anything. Or it usually comes up to it's location dependent on amount, but some places will give you up to 500, some places will give you up to £800.
Right.
Um, and that's for, and you don't, and it doesn't matter if you're working or not working. You
Oh,
can,
right. Okay.
if you need help. It's usually for emergencies. So, for example, if you have a washing machine breakdown, something like that, you need it. Or if you're
Mm.
uniform and you needed to get children's uniforms and stuff like that, you can apply to it. You get a grant of money. You don't have to pay it back. Some
That's so useful to know about, isn't it? And I bet most people have no
yeah,
idea and
yeah.
might think, well, I'm working, so I
Yeah,
can't apply
exactly.
for that.
Some councils allow you to do multiple applications. Some
Right.
people
Okay.
only do one application.
Hmm.
But it's there. I mean, it's there and it's in use. Unfortunately, as usual, if the council doesn't use it, it just gets absorbed back into something else.
Yeah, exactly. So, and I think that's so important what you've just said. If the council doesn't use it, it just gets reabsorbed into something else. So it's there, it's allocated for people to help people. So if anybody's listening and they're like, actually, because often particularly in this climate at the moment, people can be struggling to kind of and just about managing to get by each month, but if your washing machine then breaks down or what have you,
Not afford food that way. It's worthwhile crime. And usually the ones that I've referred people to, they usually got payments pretty much straight away within 1 to 2 days. Some of them got payments
within
that
1 to 2 days. Wow, that's amazing.
thing. So it's
It,
not like it's not like it's overrun because a lot of people don't know about it.
yeah, so with that one, obviously it's going to be different in different areas. How would somebody be able to check whether their council has that
If
kind of a
you
fund?
if you're looking for the household support from they may rephrase it to a different name. If you go onto your local website, it should be there. So you can get or just Google local council and ask them for the support fund. I'm saying some will say it doesn't exist, but most and some to be granted, some councils have taken it down, but most councils still have it, or they still got funding left over in the pot that's there to use.
So
Obviously, you can't use it for holidays and stuff like that.
no, no, but if
But
they
if,
needed to get a new
yeah,
fridge freezer because theirs had conked out.
exactly. Yeah, if you lose your visa or you've got your benefits have stopped, or anything like that. Like with Universal Credit, for example, they have like a 6 week waiting delay, which I think to me is which it annoys me so much. I've written so many times about it, where it just causes people to go into debt. Uh,
Yes, because there's
Um,
this delay. Yeah,
and, and the way they offset that is like they're like, well, okay, you borrow this money off us, and we'll give you, and you pay interest on it to pay it back, which I think is,
right.
horrendous. Uh,
Hmm.
but then, so something like that, you could use the household support fund for. I mean, you can use that when it's so. I'm not saying to you don't have to take the money that the advance loan that you say use so I usually give you, and then have to pay that back at a proportion out of your benefit, which is
Right.
so think is abhorrent. I mean, I've written so many letters to MPs about it. I think it's disgusting that they do it that way.
So
Uh,
at the moment, if somebody is in difficulty and they find that they're needing to apply for something like your universal credit, there's then this 6 week gap,
yeah,
and then they can borrow some money, but they're charged interest and have to pay it back, basically.
yeah, they have to pay it back through their universal credit loan.
Yeah.
I think they've removed the interest off it now, but you still have to pay it back at a percentage each month. But something like the household support for friends, so you could step in there, you could apply to them for groceries or clothing to stop that gap.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so
it's just doing your research and knowing about it.
yeah, yeah. So people could have a look on their local council website and look up household support fund or something like
Yeah,
that to
yeah,
try and find what their local council has then. Because
yeah.
obviously, I'm based in Scotland, right? I'm based in Edinburgh,
Okay.
and you're based down
I'm based
south,
in
aren't you?
yeah, based in London.
Yeah. So it'll be different for our different areas, and obviously there are some differences in
Yeah.
Scotland
And
with
I think the
things.
Scotland Universal Credit has whole different criteria as well, which is again you kind of mad at how Scotland. But there will be your local councils in Scotland will have some formation of the household support fund.
Yes, yeah. So
Mm.
that's a really useful one for people to know. Um, are there any other myths that you feel like, really get your goat, or, that you feel really need dispelling?
I think I think for me, it's around PIP and DLA.
Okay.
A lot of people think that when they have their interview for with the medical advisor, they think that the assessor who's doing the interview is actually making a decision on their award.
Right.
The people have that ire and anger towards that person. And I'm like, well, actually, no, it's a decision maker who's never seen your face. He's just using that information off the form and the information that you give so you give the PA form from the assessor and your information of your PIP2 form and making that decision. The assessor who's actually they can recommend, but they
Hmm.
did actually make the decision. The actual decision maker who's never seen you, who will probably never speak to you, they make the decision.
Yeah.
Just saying. So so you see a lot of anger online to DWP workers, and as a DWP worker myself, I get the anger 'cause I've seen on both sides, but at the same time, yeah, I've tried to say have a bit of grace. DWP frontline staff, especially in Department for Recruitment, they have the highest turnover of staff. They have the
Yeah.
highest death rate. They have the highest death rate. They have the highest amount of staff who commit suicide.
Wow.
They face out of all the departments, they get the most verbal and racial abuse.
Right. Okay.
So saying is there's a lot. So when you're screaming and ranting online at they've got no empathy, and they've got no sympathy,
Hmm.
they're going to go to their families. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And they're
They're
not the people making the decision,
exactly. I mean,
ultimately.
they just have. I mean, so have some grace. I mean, we talk about having grace for people, and I get it. When you're in that situation, but it's not a bureaucratic. yes, it's bureaucratic, but they are workers in the cognitive. I mean, the people who actually write the forms are the psychologists and the statisticians and government policy advisors who write the actual questions. It's not down to the people on the form. They're working to a very rigorous sheet, and they have to go by. It's literally like a tick box exercise. It's this checking. So
And
yeah, so
I can understand why people get upset because it can, I think, it can feel deeply impersonal,
yeah.
and this one size fits all kind of approach when you have, with this amalgamation with all these services and this a form that is to fit all kinds of
I
people,
get it
you
totally.
know,
I get
that,
it. Yeah, the anger is there, the frustration is there, but I think we have to be mindful that it's still human.
yes,
They
yeah,
can't make an error.
yeah,
It's not. I mean, and I think we have to, as someone who's been on both sides, as somebody who's been on benefits in their own previous life before, to
hmm,
someone who's worked behind the scenes and made those decisions on those forms.
yes,
A decision maker's probably got 1,000 to 500 cases on his desk. It's
yeah,
never clear. So you're saying, does he always get the right decision? No.
hmm,
Just saying, does I mean so yeah, and everyone has and no two conditions present the same.
yes,
Just
yeah,
saying, so there's so much nuance in disabilities. You know what I mean? So I always say to people, don't think that because you've got X, Y, and Z, and someone who may have the same medical diagnosis as you, they have
hmm,
the exact same. They may have a variation of the same condition, same symptoms, but it
yeah,
may present very differently in their place. There's lots of things we have to think about, and stuff like that. And then also, for me as well, as we get into this more technological age, and AI is being formed with it. DWP are scanning more for AI. So if you're doing your forms around and you're just using AI to generate your whole form for you, it's causing backend because they're just gonna like look at it and recognize the AI in it.
right, yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's interesting what you say about the technological age. I can't say it either. Because it's interesting that, isn't it? Because I'm sure it can be tricky for people to get their thoughts together. It's quite
Yeah.
hard to kind of get your thoughts together and um, be able to communicate. Um, so I can see why people would, use AI, for instance,
Yeah,
too.
I personally see it as a help and a curse. I don't when I'm doing someone's pit form, we don't use AI. We have no AI policy in the loop. But I get it. I mean, we all use AI in our work. I use AI in my other work. I mean, it's faster, it's quicker, it helps you
Mhm.
generate ideas. Blah, blah, blah. But my worry is around authenticity around it. For one, it's not giving the real you. It's giving, and we all know that AI just scrapes the internet for information.
Mhm.
Building a
Mhm.
bot, so it's building a module of what your symptoms may present. It's not
Aha.
reflecting you as a person, and that's my only concern when people start using stuff around. Yes, it can be used to collect your thoughts and stuff like that. But if we're actually writing your answers on the form, it
Yeah.
has to be it has to be relevant to your life because nobody lives your life. I can't say that I live your life. I know what you do day to day. I
Yeah.
don't, and that's kind of what AI. That's what kind of like AI. It doesn't know what you're doing day to day. It doesn't know you're sitting down right now asking questions.
Mhm. Mhm.
It can assume it. So that's why I think we have to be a bit mindful how we use technology in application forms and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So how would you recommend that if people are going to use AI, what would be the best way for them to use it then?
So for me, I think I personally think for myself, I love a diary. I think diaries are brilliant.
Mhm.
So if you can record what you're doing in your daily life in a diary, I think that's a beautiful snapshot. Anyway, don't we? I wouldn't. I think by all means use AI to map out your thoughts, but I think when you're actually going to write the forms or do the forms, whether it's
Mhm.
credit or whether it's PIP, DLA, whatever, sit down, take time out, make sure you're calm, and don't try and rush the form. Other things, well, don't try and rush. Don't think that okay, I've got to rush the form. It's got take your time, take as much time you need. If it takes you 2 weeks, 3 weeks to write the form, then
Hmm.
that's what it is. I mean, you can ask for extension. You can have, what I mean, um, and that will help you to just be a bit more clear and get a bit more concise. But by all means, use it yes to gather your thoughts, but don't use it to formulate the answers.
Yeah, that's great advice, and I love what you said about taking time. Like it might take 2 or 3 weeks to do, because you know what I've seen is that the doing those kind of forms can be quite grueling, because it then has you look at, well, what is the reality day to day, um, and I think that can be, there's emotion there, isn't there, as well, that can be quite upsetting to kind of see where things have got to when people are really struggling, and um, so it's quite an emotive process
Yeah,
that
that's
people are
that's
going
that's,
through.
that's like for me. For example, I always tell all my clients write a diary. You know,
Hmm.
7, 14 days, it's perfect. It gives you a snapshot. It
Yeah.
allows you to get that thinking, get like I say, deal with your emotions. That's the thing about AI that I'm a bit worried about as well. I don't know if you know, there's a few cases in the US. I think there's one in the UK as well, where in trigger warnings here, children who unfortunately have denied themselves due to AI.
Children
Um,
have what? Sorry.
they unalive themselves.
Oh, right.
There's
Wow.
there's two big cases in the US. I think there's one in the UK as well.
Right.
But around ChatGPT and not having a safeguarding in there. I
Right.
worry sometimes about AI is that
Hmm.
when client, when people are using AI to do like their pitfalls, they haven't got that safeguarding piece around it and the triggers.
Hmm.
Whilst we can sit there and say, okay, they'll be fine. It's just a computer. When they log off a computer, what thoughts were in their mind? What's the safeguarding around it? And so
Yes.
who's been in DWP, we had a safeguarding, mandate that if we felt something, even now when I do people's PIT forms or DIA forms, if I feel the child's at risk or the person's at risk, I have a duty to contact the police or contact them. Give them a hotline number to make sure that they are safe and they're getting support.
Hmm.
My worry is that AI does not allow that.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. That's a good point, because like I was saying, it's, I mean, my use of the term of saying it's quite emotive and brings up emotion. Um, yeah. Yeah, that can be extreme for people, can't it? So
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
That's the thing that I would kind of think about and worry about is people again formulating their answers for something as crucial, which is a legal document as PIP.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, or filling out the universal credit application form and having to list their medical conditions and how it affects them. I'm just worried about okay, and there are cases. We've had cases in the DWP where someone's been so traumatized or something so bad that we can't allow that person to see their claim form because it can trigger all kinds of stuff.
Right. Okay.
So you know, and that's one of the reasons why I created my program and stuff like that and support and I mean I weaved it into our training of all my advisors and stuff so we
Hmm.
recognize those triggers because we just don't want it to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, I'm curious about the sort of support that you offer then through your organisation. So, can you tell us a little bit about the type of support that you offer? You've obviously hinted about that through this interview as well. But yeah, so if in a nutshell, what's the kind of support
So
you offer?
so in the loop kind of started off by me basically giving back to help a charity that a for-profit organisation that was supporting women with domestic abuse with complex PTSD.
Right.
And we was and because I had the benefit of experience, I thought it would be good. And then what I realised online, there's been over the last kind of like 2, 3 years, maybe there's been a massive pop up of people saying, "Oh, I'll do your PIP form for you. I'll do your access work form for you." I was just concerned that the people who are doing it are just doing it on the back that they one or two forms they do have gone through the process and that's it. They think they know. So I had an issue around it being done ethically. And there are
Hmm.
also lots of organisations out there that are just willfully taking people's money, and some of them have been horrific. I've heard of organisations taking 50% of the award. I've heard of people,
Wow.
I've heard of organisations who are demanding that the person, if they get a successful award, they pay 10% of their award to them until to the maximum of the award continues. Um,
That's crazy.
yeah,
That
and
doesn't sound ethical at all.
exactly, and people just being locked into these horrible, horrible situations. And I'm like, and my point is, okay, and I'm like, okay, the way we can do this ethically. So
Hmm. Because there are charities, aren't there, as well? Like
there are charities that
people.
they're like but also you have to be realistic that organisations like CAB, which is the main one,
Hmm.
CAB, right, and I'll just dispel that myth quickly. CAB is not a benefit support charity. It's actually a debt charity.
Yeah, so that's Citizens Advice Bureau. Just
Yeah,
I
that's,
struggle with
that's
acronyms, so I
yeah,
always want to make sure people know what we're talking about.
yeah. So CAB is actually recognised as a debt resource charity.
Yes.
So they're benefit advisors who come in and give benefit advisors. They're actually just they're volunteers. They're not trained. They're not actual trained benefit advisors. They're just volunteers.
Hmm.
So CAB doesn't always give out the right information.
Right. Okay.
And also they are very, very, very overstretched. You know what I
Mm.
mean? The average waiting week now for CAB to do a benefit form is around about, I think about 20 weeks, between 12 to 5 to 20 weeks, most places. They're
Right.
stretched. So that's why, and that's kind of why as well. So we started in as far as I started in the loop to help take people on, and we just charge a flat fee, one flat fee. That's it, and then we help them from start to finish. So we go through the whole form process with them, the MR and so forth. Everything we don't do is tribunals. But then I realised that when we were doing the forms, there were other issues. There were issues around housing, there were
Right.
issues around debt advice, there's issues around universal credit, there's
Hmm.
issues around grants and awards, there's issues around send. So we try and do more holistic. And I mean I realized that my network is massive. From people that I used to work with when I was at the job centre, and I still kept in touch with social workers.
Hmm.
So yeah, so we put things in place like social work support, we put
Hmm.
support in like send support. We
Yeah.
put we work quite closely with a shelter. So if
Hmm.
it was about a housing issue, we can refer directly to shelter to get to speak to a housing lawyer and specialise in that case. We work closely with debt advice and stuff like that, how to write off debts. And we found out, and what that meant is that people started coming back to us. So we
Yeah.
started
Yeah.
constant routine of coming back, and because we were just very transparent in it, said yes, okay, and I was very transparent. We said that we're not going to charge you massive, massive fortune, but we have to pay people to do the work. I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
a charity. And therefore, once you were being ethical and being transparent, people, and that's kind of how we do. So we do PIP support, we do DLA support, we do access support, we do housing, debt advice, and so forth, send
Mhm.
and all that kind of stuff. And we also help with like grants and stuff like that, helping people to find where grants are. So stuff like Severn Trent, and British Gas have huge charities.
Hmm.
uh, so if you're ever in debt with your water supply, Severn Trent will wipe it all off for you.
Hmm.
British Gas, if you're in debt with British Gas, that you can apply to their charity, they will wipe off the debt. They also have a white goods grant that's free as well, that you can get white goods off them for free.
Yeah. Yeah.
We do these kind of referrals to them for people as well.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, it's useful to you obviously have this wide scope of knowledge that you've built over the years, um, uh, which is really helpful, and it's great to hear the ways in which you're supporting people and this emphasis on obviously you're a business and you do charge fees for what you do, but you're doing that in an ethical way, and that
Yeah,
you know
exactly.
that's that's important, isn't it? And if people don't feel like they have the resources to pay for a service, there are ways that they can. There might be charities in their local area that
Yeah,
they can look at as
yeah,
well.
so definitely, so yeah, so why don't, so I always do the merit on the case. I've
Mm.
done lots of work for free if I feel like someone can't afford it. Sometimes we do we offer a pay it forward service. So I've literally had one client the other day who couldn't afford it, and thankfully people donated and that paid for her service. I've done lots of, but I always have I don't just take clients on for the sake of taking clients on. I like to speak to the client first.
Mm.
I usually give them loads of information to go away with and say,
Uh-huh.
reach out to this person, go to this is what you need to do. And they usually come back to me and say, Elaine, I did it, I'm sorted, I did it. And I'm like, brilliant, great. So for me, I make sure that they have all the free options first, and
Yes.
then they choose to do it. So I'm very different from other organisations where they send an invoice straight away. I
Yeah.
Okay, let's sit
And
down in this situation. Da, da, da. Okay, let's go to this chat. I will write a letter for you. Da, da, da. I will send a letter, send that off to Universal Credit or DLA. Da, da, da. And then, so like I say, someone come back and say, it's sorted now. I've got my money. Da, da, da. I'm like, brilliant. And I don't sit there and say, oh, you owe me like 200 quid or that. I just let it go. So I'm very different from other organisations. For me, it's not about the money. It helps.
yeah, and when you're running a
It,
business, you need to be paid, right? Because
it,
you have, I know that you train people as well, don't
I
you?
think
So
like yeah, so it's not about the bills. For me, it's more about them getting the information that they need to get them sorted. I mean,
yeah.
that's it. So it's very much about empathy for me versus profit.
Yeah, and on that note, and I think, that's one of the things that attracted me to you was, you seem to have integrity and authenticity and also this sense of integrity and wanting to support people. Um, and on that note, I also want to mention that it's depending on when people are listening to this, but one of the things that Elaine is going to be doing is a benefits clinic for the Parent Support Collective. So I'm really excited that that is something that's going to be coming up. We still need to just organise some dates for that, but and I just think that's such a great thing that
Yeah,
you offer so that people can have a short conversation to get a sense of because it can be really difficult to know what to do next or where people should be focusing and that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that's such a
yeah.
fabulous idea.
So the reason why I do the benefit clinics again is because again, it's comes back to the disability benefits and stuff like that. Just benefits. So there's lots of shame around benefits.
Yeah,
People don't want to admit that they're on universal credit, or they don't want to admit that they are down in their luck or whatever it is, or that And so for me, I found it important when I started doing the benefit clinics probably about 3 years ago now.
yeah,
Found that we had a range of people come in and they value the fact they could come in, get a question answered, and they weren't being gawped at. They're not in a job centre setting where everyone's looking and judging them. They could
yeah,
ask questions and they could have someone they could reach out to. And doing I always say that people even when I'm in my own work, I always say people just want to be heard.
yes,
So if I can give them 15 minutes, so the sessions are usually like 15, like 10, 15 minute slots. If I
mm-hmm,
can let them just vote for 10 minutes,
mm-hmm,
that's more than anything. So the one that actually coming to you for an answer, they just want to be heard.
yeah,
It
yeah,
makes a massive difference, and that's
yeah,
where the trust begins. So I always say to people, so if I have a belief that someone comes in, and also I don't rush people outdoors. If someone goes over the 50 minutes, I'm not going to say to them, okay, you've got to go, you've got that, right. I'm like, okay, what do we do? So my goal is to find out what the issue is, what we can do, and then my aim is to give them at least one thing they can go away with.
yeah, brilliant, brilliant.
I mean, and it's something and I find that a lot of welfare rights people just aren't doing that. They don't have the time to do it because they're either so bombarded with stuff, or they
Yeah,
don't have to do it in a trauma-informed way.
yes, yeah, great. So I'm so excited that's coming up. So if you're wanting information on that and information on how you can um, connect through the Parent Support Collective, there'll also be some contact information for Elaine there as well. So they'll be in the show notes so that you can, reach out and get some support um, and if we don't know how to support you, we can point you in the direction of somebody that we feel will be able to.
Much of
So,
it,
yeah,
much of it.
absolutely. So, well, thank you so much, Elaine. I think there was so much there and so much value and helpful information and myths dispelling and, some clear ideas of how people can get support from yourself. So, brilliant.
Pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.